Hi, this is Ask Brock. I'm Brock Doherty. This week's question comes from Ryan. Brock, is there any place in today's 21st century drilling industry for a cable tool? Absolutely. I'll take one right now, put it right in my backyard. Matter of fact, there's a 43 Cyclone sitting at my parents' farm that I still love and I will never give up. So, a lot to be learned in cable tooling, especially in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes Basin. There's plenty of sand and gravel drift wells and other places that we've been wildly successful. And it's funny because as an industry, we have refused to progress technology when it comes to electric over hydraulic and some of the new processes we could get into, but we've completely abandoned cable tool to just have conventional hydraulics. It's silly because the most wildly successful sold rigs on the market right now are electric over hydraulic. But one thing that we've lost that had all the roots was the walking beam. And so for cable tool, I learned a lot. I learned how to drive casing in the ground and then run in and stomp it up into a slurry and bail it out. And then later I learned to convert a cable tool rig, a 36 Cyclone, into a jetting rig where we used 1.75-inch manila hemp rope and a drive maul, and we drive that 4-inch galvanized casing into the ground, or 2-inch galvanized casing way back in the day. And then we would go in and we would jet out the center with a king swivel and 2-inch drill rod and a slurry tank. And it would give me cuttings that were completely undisturbed, washed out because I had steel casing to hold them. I jetted that stuff out. I was able to see formations that I never would have been able to see in that 3-minute rod with that dang fast top head. And then I could get 4 foot of 7-slot Johnson screen along with that blanking K-Packer and telescope that into that formation, and then run back in with my surge tool and naturally develop that well. And there's a lot that we've lost in the walking beam. And I've said this before, but all the big companies still have old school cable tool rigs for swabbing and brushing and surging because there's not a better way to develop a screen and in shallow formations, obviously. For what we do for air development is adequate, but it's never going to be what we could do with a pump off tool and how we could get that full formation, undisturbed and back to being able to just be great, clean water. So yeah, I think there is a place. I want you at the next convention, groundwater meetup, supply house show, sit down with the cable tooler. And first and foremost, I want you to look at their hands because you know what? I have all 10 of my fingers. And that whole idea that, oh, you can tell the cable tooler in the room and they're missing the most fingers. No, you can tell the sloppy driller in the room or the horrific accident that happened that shouldn't have in the room. Because you know what? It's not the cable tool rig. It had got caught in the table or smashed in the casing. It was unsafe acts that got those fingers taken off. It's not cable tooling. And to that point, with a drive maul and everything happening, friction breaks, clutches, you were extra careful because those rigs did not forgive anything. So sit down with them, have a discussion. No different than if you meet a World War II veteran, male or female, have a discussion with them because there's not a lot of them left, the same as there's not a lot of cable toolers left. And I want to thank John Schmidt for all of the articles he's written for the driller to document tools and every aspect of cable tooling so that we have that knowledge for the rest of time. And that's a big deal that he's spent this many years giving us that great insight and sharing that knowledge. So as you're at that show, sit down with that old cable tooler and learn some things about well development and rehab. And you haven't drilled a well until you drive casing until it won't drive any further, and then get out and cut it and thread it so you can put a swivel, you can put a crossover on it to be able to run the swivel in there and break up that rock or that sticky clay so that you're able to drive more casing. There's a lot to be learned in cable tool, and there's still a place for it. It's a great question, Ryan. Now go out there and meet those guys, because like we've said, the industry, 45% of it will be retired by 2030. Average age 58. If you think about it, conventional top drive rotary rigs are coming on 50 years old now. Table drive before that. These are all things we need to be learning about. But yeah, we're losing that art of cable tool every day. Great question.